Thank you, Randy. Thank you, chamber staff and fellow chamber members. I really appreciate this opportunity to speak today. Today is a really exciting day on this journey, which has been almost 5 years. And I think about the journey and getting to today, and I want to share a little bit of my journey with you guys. So in 2014, I decided to sell my business and be with my father who was ailing in health. He died that same year, and I thought, what am I going to do? Because I need to work and be around people. I served on the board of directors of the Shepherd's House. Tracy invited me to that. Thank you, Tracy. And I'll never forget that about her inviting me because that was my beginning. I didn't know it then, but that was my beginning. Um, when I came here the first day, when I was transitioning from a boardroom to an employee, I walked up the ramp. I threw a kiss to heaven to my dad, and I said, Dad, I'm going to go change the world. Little did I know that God was sending me here to change me. So I could be a guide on the lives of the journey of the underserved, people that are hungry, people that most of the impression that we would give walking down a big city and see somebody on the side of the street with a sign, I'm hungry, could you help me? And I lived in a big city before coming back here, and I saw it every day. And I think God was teaching me about what the journey he had to take me on once I moved back to Mount Airy. So when I walked in this office, I will never forget my first month. I had to let go a longtime employee, and I had to realize in my talks with God that I was very frustrated in the first 30 days. I knew about business, but I didn't know about homelessness. I didn't have a connection to homelessness. In that first 30 days, he sent me an answer to my prayer. This person was not from here, didn't know anything about Mount Airy, and had been on a downward spiral for 32 years in drug addiction. And she was my best friend in college. We played softball together, and he sent her here to give me a connection to homelessness. The day she came in, I was here my 28th day, and I knew that I knew her. So I asked her some questions, and it finally, she was really kind of reserved. And I said, where did you go to college? And she said, Catawba. And I said, Mac. And her eyes got as big could be. And I said, Mac, it's Mary. And we hugged and we cried because I knew God had answered my prayer. And she knew, I think in her heart, that God had answered hers. So we began a journey of 6 months of her being here. She spoke at about every high school in the county. She spoke at Surrey Community College. And Judge Massey asked her to speak in the courtroom when some parolees were getting ready to graduate probation. They had state officials there from Raleigh. Judge Massey was there. And Gail got up to speak in a courtroom, and she started to laugh. And I thought, oh, Lord, what is Gail going to say? Because Gail always shared a story that really brought you into her world realistically. And she was laughing, and then she apologized. She said, I'm so sorry, with laughing, but this is the first time I've been in a courtroom that I haven't been in handcuffs. That was powerful to me. And I said, I need to work, and I need to work harder and really bring this organization around. I've been from Mount Airy. I'm a little girl from Mayberry. We can do it. Well, little did I know that journey was going to maybe not be so easy. And I didn't really ask God to be easy, but I knew he was going to be here with me. And the trials and the tribulations we had to face were really hard. But one thing I realized, I thought, how am I going to do media and marketing with no money? Because, nonprofits are usually poor nonprofits. And I thought, what am I going to do? Well, I had a Facebook page, but I was 55 years old. And so Facebook came long after anything to do with social media I knew. So I got on there. I created the Shepherd's House page in the first 6 months I was here. And we have about 6,000 followers now. But what the most important thing for me was to share their stories. So people's perception of them could change. And I think we're all guilty of perception of people, other people in our lives. And I knew by telling their story that people would get that they're not lazy. They're human beings just like we are. Their journey is far different from ours, but yet relatively the same. So we shared their stories, and I will tell you of one girl, no names, of course, that came in here and had been taken out of the home when she was a child, put into foster care. She was molested when she was a child in her own home, and she was molested in the home of her foster care parents. She eventually aged out of foster care at 18, went back to live with her dad in a trailer beside of her grandmother's house, and she thought it was okay to become pregnant by her father. And I will never forget how powerful that story was. And she'd never had that family of love that we are all used to having. And yes, we all have our issues. But I thought, and these were all those stories were that deep to the core of my being. And so this is a lot of how this wonderful journey began. And I will tell anybody, my most favorite thing to do at this job is to share the stories about the Shepherd's House. I love any opportunity. If I greet you, I'll probably tell you something about the Shepherd's House. But I want to share a little bit of the stats over the last 5 years, and then stats from 2003. So we have helped serve since 2003, the doors opened, over 2,300 individuals in crisis. We've served over 185,000 meals inside this house. Last year, great accomplishment. Nonprofits need partnerships. They have to thrive through those partnerships because that's what they need. So through our partnerships, we are able to grow through them and learn what we might not can offer, our partner can, or our partner can help guide us to where we need help from the community at a certain time. So last year, with all of our overabundance, we became a second harvest agency. We get weekly perishable donations every Friday, about 60 boxes. So we tried to find ways that, okay, we got to get out in our community. We're telling the story. We need to be in our community. We need to be with the businesses so they see what we're doing, because you are taxpayers. I want you to envision this. So did you know that it cost $40,000 to taxpayers to have an unsheltered individual in your county? If I bring them into the shelter, do you know I can take that cost down for that one individual? 56%. For you as business owners at a time like this, and for taxpayers like me and you, I would hope you could relate to just that. Because if you think how our county is, and the numbers are, now with the pandemic. So we were prepared to build this building before this pandemic. When the pandemic came, the new stats are that within a year, we could see homelessness increase 40%. For Surrey County, that's devastating. That's devastating for me. You've got the underlying factors of the opioid epidemic that so riddle our county. And that's a place where we really need to really get back on track with these individuals, because I've seen 30 years of drug abuse with my friend Mac. She can turn her life around, and she did. Her doctor out of Winston-Salem at Baptist Hospital sent me a personal letter after Mac had been here 6 months and graduated. And she said it's very unheard of in their world, although they still have hope, that some of these long addictive people can get out of that cycle and break it. So, and some of them have burned the bridges with all their families. So we become their support system.